In a small, secluded village, isolated from the bustling world and shielded by dense woods, there stood an ancient and imposing mansion, its presence seemingly frozen in time. Locals, who had inherited the stories from generations past, spoke of this edifice in hushed tones, convinced it was veiled in an insidious curse, an ominous aura that dissuaded any wanderer from venturing too close. Whispers carried on the wind spoke of inexplicable occurrences, eerie apparitions that materialized and vanished, and peculiar disappearances that befell those who dared to stray into the mansion's ominous shadow. Among the labyrinthine halls and decaying rooms of this decrepit manor lay a focal point of fear, the dreaded and sinister cellar, concealed beneath layers of creaking floorboards and shrouded in an impenetrable veil of darkness. Amelia, an intrepid journalist with an insatiable appetite for unraveling the unknown, couldn't resist the call of the ominous tales that swirled around the mansion like a haunting melody. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, her mind was determined to navigate through the veils of superstition to discover the veritable truth behind these macabre and petrifying legends. With an old map in hand and her courage aflame, she embarked on an adventure into the heart of mystery, where the secrets of the Sinister Cellar awaited her arrival with bated breath, eager to reveal the chilling secrets that had remained hidden for decades. Armed with nothing more than a flickering flashlight that cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper and a trusty camera that clicked incessantly, Amelia took tentative steps further into the mansion, her footfalls echoing like a heartbeat in the vast emptiness. The dust-laden air clung to her every breath, the very atmosphere laden with the weight of forgotten memories and unspoken horrors. As she approached the cellar's entrance, an icy draft whispered through the cracks, sending shivers down her spine like spectral fingers brushing against her skin. Each creak of the wooden floorboards seemed to resonate with an unseen malevolence, a chorus of creaks that welcomed her to the heart of darkness. With a deep breath and nerves of steel, Amelia descended the narrow stone steps that led her into the belly of the mansion, a world buried beneath the surface like a morbid secret. The further she descended, the more oppressive the darkness became, suffocating her with its unrelenting grip. The beam of her flashlight revealed grimy walls adorned with spider webs that seemed to stretch and dance with every flicker of light, as if orchestrating a haunting ballet of their own. Time seemed to warp in the subterranean abyss, each second an eternity as she ventured deeper into the unknown. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant sound of dripping water, like the mournful tears of trapped souls seeping through the cracks. Goosebumps erupted on her skin as she felt unseen eyes watching her, and her heart pounded against her ribcage, seeking escape from the suffocating darkness that seemed to reach out with cold, spectral hands. At last, Amelia found herself standing before the cellar's heavy, age-worn door, seemingly the portal to a realm untouched by time itself. As she gripped the rusted doorknob, a chilling realization washed over her that she was but a trespasser in a world where the line between the living and the dead blurred into an indistinguishable haze. Summoning every ounce of courage, Amelia pushed the door open, unleashing a musty gust of air that carried the stench of decay. The cellar's darkness yawned before her like a gaping maw, swallowing the feeble light from her flashlight and enveloping her in an all-encompassing void. Her heart pounded louder, the rhythmic thumping becoming a primal drumbeat echoing through the chamber, resonating with the forgotten souls that seemed to stir in their eternal slumber. In the depths of the sinister cellar, time seemed to fold in on itself, and the remnants of the past manifested in all their haunting glory. The walls, etched with cryptic symbols and foreboding messages, seemed to whisper tales of anguish and malevolence that dated back centuries. Amidst the oppressive silence, faint echoes of chilling cries and distant footsteps permeated the air, like the echoes of forgotten tragedies that lingered as a perpetual reminder of the darkness that once reigned. Despite the unnerving atmosphere, Amelia felt an inexplicable pull, a need to document and understand the horror that resided within the cellar's confines. As she held up her camera to capture the unearthly scene, a strange sensation washed over her. The camera's lens appeared to cloud and distort the images, as though refusing to record the unfathomable malevolence seeping from the cellar's walls. The uneasy feeling intensified, and Amelia found herself grappling with an inexplicable force that sought to deter her from uncovering the sinister secrets locked within this harrowing realm. In the dim and oppressive gloom of the cellar, Amelia's footsteps seemed to echo like ghostly whispers, creating an unsettling symphony that resonated with the malevolent spirits lingering in the shadows. Her heart pounded, each beat an ominous drum, as she documented the chilling remnants of the past that lay scattered throughout the forsaken chamber. Rusty shackles dangled like ominous pendulums, evoking a haunting sense of imprisonment that tugged at her soul, as if the specters of the long-departed were begging for liberation from their eternal torment. As she focused her camera on the enigmatic markings etched into the cellar's cold stone floor, an unsettling aura seemed to intensify, a palpable force seething with suppressed rage and despair. Whispers, barely discernible at first, seemed to claw their way from the depths of the darkness, haunting her mind like spectral echoes that refused to be silenced. The temperature dropped further, and her breath fogged in front of her, as though she were traversing a realm caught between the worlds of the living and the dead. With every step, Amelia felt as if she were trespassing upon the boundary of another realm, one where restless spirits lurked, their anguish palpable and seeking solace in the company of the living. The walls, once silent witnesses to the heinous deeds committed within the cellar's depths, seemed to groan and shudder with an ancient sorrow, as though burdened by the weight of malevolence they had absorbed over time. Her camera captured unsettling images, their distorted nature reflecting the unsettling energy that clung to this place. The more she tried to decipher the symbols etched into the walls, the clearer it became that these were no mere decorative markings, but sigils of a sinister purpose. Each symbol seemed to pulse with a life of its own, as if the very essence of the ancient malevolence had become eternally entwined with the cellar's foundation. As she continued to explore, Amelia became increasingly aware of an invisible presence that seemed to follow her every move. Whispers, now more distinct, echoed through the cellar, their words enigmatic and haunting. Strange cold spots manifested around her, chilling the air and making her breath visible like ethereal smoke. Her flashlight began to flicker erratically, casting erratic shadows that danced like spectral phantoms across the walls. Her heart raced, and beads of cold sweat formed on her forehead, for she felt like an intruder in a world meant only for the dead. Panic threatened to consume her, but a part of Amelia remained transfixed, unable to escape the enigmatic allure of the sinister cellar, as if an unseen force were compelling her to bear witness to the dark secrets concealed within. As she stumbled upon a decaying wooden crate, Amelia noticed peculiar carvings etched upon its surface, elusive symbols that seemed to move and change as if animated by unseen hands. The crate's contents remained concealed, shrouded in mystery, and she hesitated, debating whether to pry it open or leave it untouched, wary of the consequences that might follow. With her heart pounding in her throat, Amelia lifted the weathered lid, unleashing an ominous gust of air that seemed to carry the whispers of long-forgotten incantations. Inside, she found a collection of peculiar artifacts, oddly shaped idols, ancient tomes covered in dust, and fragments of weathered parchment adorned with chilling sigils. Each artifact seemed to pulse with an eerie resonance, and their malevolent energy seemed to seep into Amelia's very being, leaving her feeling as if she had unknowingly become a part of this unholy tableau. In the relentless grip of fear and fascination, Amelia couldn't help but wonder if her journey into the sinister cellar had invited something ancient and malevolent to latch onto her soul, leaving her marked by the darkness that lurked within this realm of forgotten nightmares. Amelia's trembling hands clutched her flashlight like a lifeline as she continued to navigate the labyrinthine halls of the sinister cellar, each step leading her deeper into the clutches of darkness. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to thicken, pressing down on her like a physical weight, as if the very air conspired to suffocate her will to escape. Whispers escalated to haunting wails, reverberating through the confined space, as though the spirits of the tormented were urging her to flee. The cellar's layout appeared to have transformed, shifting like a malevolent maze designed to ensnare its prey. The wall seemed to lean closer, and the ceiling descended like a lowering guillotine, hemming her in with an overwhelming sense of claustrophobia. Her heart pounded in her ears, drowning out all other sounds, as if it sought to shield her from the malevolence that lurked in every crevice. In the midst of the oppressive darkness, Amelia's flashlight flickered like a dying heartbeat, threatening to plunge her into an abyss from which there would be no return. She shook it frantically, urging the stubborn device to rally its failing strength, and with a final surge of light, it illuminated an ancient, decrepit wooden door partially obscured by stacks of crumbling crates. The door loomed before her like the entrance to an abyss, its weathered surface seemingly a portal to the unfathomable horrors lurking beyond. Despite every fiber of her being warning her against proceeding, Amelia's insatiable curiosity urged her onward. The unknown allure of what lay beyond that mysterious door compelled her to take one step closer, her trembling hand reaching out to push it open, as if she were an unwitting puppet under the control of unseen malevolence. The moment the door gave way, the cellar's sinister aura intensified, as if the boundary between worlds had been breached, and an indescribable malevolence seeped through the opening. A cold gust of wind, reeking of decay and suffering, swept through the chamber, extinguishing her flashlight's struggling flame and rendering her completely engulfed in darkness. For a brief, disorienting moment, Amelia lost all sense of direction and equilibrium. Panic clawed at her throat as she struggled to find her bearings, her mind teetering on the precipice of madness. But amidst the darkness, a faint glimmer of light beckoned to her, guiding her toward a faintly illuminated space within the concealed chamber. With each cautious step, her footsteps reverberated like thunder, and she found herself drawn toward a sinister altar, an abominable construct adorned with grotesque symbols and sacrilegious artifacts that seemed to pulse with a malevolent life of their own. Shadows danced maniacally around the altar, contorting into sinister shapes, as if mocking her feeble attempt to comprehend the enigma before her. As her camera's lens attempted to capture the chilling scene, it continued to malfunction, distorting the images like grotesque reflections in a funhouse mirror. The camera's lens seemed to reflect not the reality before her, but an alternate dimension, one warped by suffering and malevolence. An inexplicable force compelled her to keep trying, as though the camera itself demanded that its malevolent secrets be preserved for eternity. Amidst the chilling darkness, whispers transformed into blood-curdling screams, the tortured voices of the past haunting her with the weight of their unbearable anguish. The spectral apparitions that surrounded her now materialized more distinctly, their hollow eyes boring into her soul, as though searching for some form of salvation in her presence. Her instincts screamed at her to flee, to leave this unholy realm and abandon her quest for truth, but she felt bound, entangled in an unseen web of malevolent influence that held her captive. A sense of inescapable dread settled upon her heart like a leaden shroud, and she realized that she was merely a puppet in the hands of an ancient evil that reveled in the torment of the living and the dead. As the moments stretched into an eternity, Amelia grappled with the unsettling revelation that her very presence had become a catalyst for the resurrection of malevolence long confined to the shadows. Trapped in terror, she faced the chilling realization that the Sinister Cellar had claimed yet another victim, the curious journalist who dared to unmask its malevolent secrets. Amelia stood frozen in the heart of the Sinister Cellar, her senses overwhelmed by the oppressive malevolence that now enveloped her like an impenetrable shroud. The chilling revelation that she had become a pawn in an ancient malevolent game gnawed at her sanity, each moment driving her closer to the precipice of madness. The sinister altar seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy, and its grotesque symbols seemed to sear themselves into her mind, a haunting reminder that she had stepped into a realm where the boundaries of reality and nightmare blurred into an indistinguishable haze. The whispers, once ghostly echoes, now swirled around her like a maddening chorus, each voice carrying a distinct tone of suffering and malevolence. Their words seeped into her consciousness, drowning her in a cacophony of dark secrets and ancient curses that echoed through time. Her head pounded with the weight of forbidden knowledge, threatening to shatter her very sanity like a fragile glass. Amelia's pulse quickened as she felt a presence drawing closer, an invisible force that seemed to encircle her like a malevolent predator ready to pounce on its prey. Every nerve in her body screamed for escape, yet she remained rooted to the spot, her feet seemingly bound to the cursed floor. She knew then that the cellar held her captive, ensnaring her like a fly in the web of a patient spider, luring her deeper into its dark embrace. The artifacts on the sinister altars seemed to resonate with the same malevolence that now gripped her heart, as though feeding off her fear and despair. The peculiar idols seemed to leer at her with malevolent intent, their unsettling gaze piercing through her soul. In a moment of desperation, Amelia reached out to push the artifacts away, hoping to break the insidious connection that bound her to their unholy presence. Yet, as her hand brushed against one of the idols, a jolt of malevolent energy surged through her like an electric shock. A vision flashed before her eyes, an eerie tableau of ritualistic ceremonies, blood-soaked altars, and hooded figures chanting in a chilling chorus. The spirits of the long-departed seemed to wail in anguish, their torment now intertwined with her own, forging an unholy union between the living and the dead. The sinister cellar seemed to revel in her torment, its malevolence now pulsating with an insidious glee that fed off her fear. She felt like a marionette dancing to an infernal melody, her every movement dictated by unseen hands of darkness. Amelia's mind became a maze of entangled memories, hers and those of the spirits that whispered their lamentations into her soul. The walls of the cellar seemed to close in, a suffocating confinement that heightened her sense of entrapment. The air grew colder, and her breath emerged in visible wisps, as if the chilling grasp of the underworld had breached the boundary between life and death. The cellar became a vortex of torment, where past and present collided, and Amelia became entangled in the timeless dance of malevolence. A single glimmer of hope remained, an instinctive urge to escape the unending nightmare. With a burst of adrenaline-fueled determination, she forced her legs to move, breaking the shackles that held her rooted to the cursed floor. Her heart pounded like a war drum, a defiant rhythm that drowned out the haunting whispers. The sinister altars seemed to thrum with disapproval, but Amelia knew she had to resist its grasp. With every ounce of strength, she clawed her way back through the labyrinthine halls, navigating the ever-shifting corridors that sought to ensnare her. The oppressive darkness clung to her like a malevolent shadow, but her will to survive was stronger than the grip of the cellar's malevolence. As Amelia emerged from the forsaken mansion, she gasped for breath, feeling the weight of the cellar's lingering malevolence still lingering in the recesses of her mind. The truth she sought had been uncovered, but at a cost. Her very sanity had been tested and shaken to its core. Haunted by the memories of her harrowing encounter, Amelia knew that the sinister cellar would forever remain etched in her consciousness, a reminder that some secrets are best left buried in the shadows, lest they devour those who dare to unearth them. The malevolent spirits of the cellar had left their mark on her, a chilling reminder that some mysteries were never meant to be unraveled, for they exist in a realm where the line between horror and reality becomes an indistinguishable blur, a realm where the sinister cellar would forever hold its victims captive in the depths of terror.